Hi Flosstube, my name's Jess. I'm Cross Stitch Jess here on Flosstube and over on Instagram. My pronouns are she and her, and I'm here to talk to you about cross stitch. This is Alfie. I'm not actually going to be showing you much cross stitch today, so I suspect that he will maintain his ownership of my lap for most of this video. But hopefully he'll be a cutie and not be all disruptive this time, right? Although everyone really liked it when you had a good sniff of the phone last time. If only you knew how popular you are. So this is not going to be a normal update. I have almost no stitching to show you. The plan is to talk about plans. So I'm planning to go through a couple of things. So my December plans, which is going to be chaotic, but we're going to roll with it. It's going to be fine. And then we're going to talk about my 2026 plans around sort of some themed months. I'm going to give WIPgo a go, and I'm going to talk a little bit about my plans for Flosstube for this channel. So let's get into it. For anyone who was here this time last year, or in December last year, you will probably not be surprised by the insanity that I'm about to present to you. For anyone who is new, for some baffling reason, my brain likes saving up new starts until December. And just general December chaos, essentially. So last year we did a couple of different things. So first thing is advent calendars. They are my favourite Christmas tradition. I have quite a few that my mum made, so the kind of square wall hanging ones with the little pockets. I've got an origami one that I made. I think I made one for John and one for my mum one year. So I've got the bits of that survived because not all of it did. We've got a little fabric one that I made for mum with little sort of sewn together pouches on a long ribbon. So advent calendars have always been my favourite part of Christmas. We didn't have loads growing up, but advent calendars was like one of the things where everyone else just got a little lump of chocolate and I got like hair clips and stick on earrings and stick on nails and all sorts of little things. And I'm sure they were kind of, you got a multi-pack of something and you put them in each day, so there were a couple of quid. But like, yeah, it was one of my favourite things, having little surprises that weren't just a little chocolate. So advent calendars remain my favourite Christmas tradition. So last year I'm going to caveat, right? John and I are a 2-income, no kids kind of household, right? So we are in a position to spend money on our hobbies and our interests and things that make us happy. I fully appreciate that this is not feasible for everyone, but it is something that I love, and I have only recently started accepting that I can spend money on myself for things I love. So last year I had 4 advent calendars. One that I bought for myself, which was the Bothy Threads one. The second one was via an exchange, so the UK cross stitch I'll put it below because I can never remember the right combination of words, but it's like cross stitch friends in the UK, something like that. Angie very kindly organises an exchange where you sign up, you get paired with someone, and you basically do an advent for each other. So you set a budget between you. It's basically like a Secret Santa style thing, but without the secret part, and without the issue that if one person drops out in the middle of a chain, it kind of ruins it for the people both before and after them. So did that one. I did this one, which I kind of did myself, which is some little stockings, and then each one has a little card in it with the name of a project, and I will come back to this because I'm planning to do the same again this year. And then the last one was one that John filled for me, which had lots of different flavours of hot chocolate. So lots of advent calendars. I'm effectively doing the same this year. So I have done an exchange one again. I've sent mine off. I'm waiting for mine to arrive. I have signed up for a bought one, This year I'm doing KLT charting. So they have like a number of different options. I've picked the hand-dyed fabric and threads only, because I feel like I have enough stitching knickknacks. I did enjoy the bothy one, but I'm not a massive fan of receiving patterns because I'm quite picky about the patterns that I buy and stitch. So they weren't the most helpful things for me to receive, I guess. So yeah, we're going hand-dyed fabrics and threads this year, which I'm very excited for. I am then going to be doing these again, which I will talk a bit more about in a moment. For anyone, well, I'll give you an overview. Basically, there are 12 of these that I stitched last year, and as you just saw, I've made them into little stuffable stockings. What I did last year was put a new start in each one. No, thank you. Scooch in, good boy. I put a new start in each one and I open them every other day. So starting on the 1st of December, I had a new start every other day running up to Christmas. So I will be doing a variation of that, which I'll come back to in a second. And then I hope John and I are doing an exchange for each other because I have bought the stuff already. So John, if you're watching this, not that I think you've ever watched one of my Flosstubes, but on the off chance, if you haven't had your advent calendar yet for 2025, shoo, go away. We've recently found a new restaurant that we really like in town, and they do chai. So I have got John a set of different chai to attempt to learn to make that at home, because it's something that he really, really enjoyed. So that is the advent plan. What I did December last year was each day I filmed like a little 2-minute clip of opening all the bits and then like sped up the opening bit, but basically I showed you what the little packages were for the various advents, and then I opened them and then showed you what I got. The plan is much like last year because I personally find even opening YouTube during December hella overwhelming. Just the sheer number of people that do daily uploads, my brain can't cope. I cannot do it. So to avoid adding to a thing that my own brain can't cope with, I'll do the same as last year and basically squash like 6 or 7 days together and just do like 3 or 4 uploads during the month. So that is the gist of the advent plans. I don't actually have any of these to show you because I am filming this at the end of October, but at the start of that first Flossmas, or maybe like whatever my last update is just before the end of November, I might just show you like the packaging, like what those advents look like. So that is advent. On to the new starts. Quick drink first. I have a horrible feeling I'm coming down with something. I've been sneezing a lot today. New starts. Last year, I've just talked briefly about the new starts and the stockings. Last December I did 24 new starts in 1 month. So half of those were my 12 starts of Christmas in my 12 stockings, and they were every other day. The other half were, you may or may not have heard of this, but there's a concept called the New Year's Eve 12 by 12. I will have to dig out who initiated this. I did have it written down last year, but I cannot remember. I feel like it's a quilting person rather than a stitching person, or they've got quilting in their name. But I'll chuck it up in the corner because I'm not going to remember that off the top of my head. So the whole point of this is that you pick 12 projects. They can be existing WIPs or they could be new starts. And every hour, I think traditionally it's done from midday to midnight on New Year's Eve. So you're almost like counting down to the new year. I don't really function past 11 p.m. And I wouldn't trust myself making a new start after 10 p.m. So I will probably do 10 till 10 instead of 12 till 12. I guess it doesn't really matter either way. But yeah, so that was another 12 new starts, spent an hour on each one. And to be honest, last year that was massively chaotic because John was ill, so that 12 hours wasn't just 12 hours of getting to sit and concentrate on stitching. That was like 2 trips to the pharmacy and a trip to the supermarket to get supplies. So touch wood, this year no one's ill. So in total 24 new starts. I am planning to do this mania style. I say mania style because I've seen Rachel from Talking Dog Stitcher plan to do this. I think this was when she was about to open her shop, so I think it kind of got sidelined a little bit because she was so busy with that. But the general idea is anything that I started last year that has been finished, I put a new start in its place. Anything that's still a WIP, I'll pull that out and work on it again in the relevant time slot. So some very brief stats for you. So of the 24 starts last time, there is one project that I've decided to just sub out because it's not actually cross stitch, it was a beading project. So I'll probably still work on that a bit. I might even get it out this month or November. They were like beaded candy canes, like spiral candy cane things. But it's just not cross stitch, and it didn't work for my brain counting it in my WIP count, so we've subbed it out. What I do have is from the previous year, I also did 12 starts of Christmas, and I only have one WIP from that left. So essentially I'm swapping them over. So that is the beaded candy canes being dropped and my Lorna Laine B being subbed in because I started that in December 2023. I have since restarted it, but I'm counting it as the same thing. So that's one. I have 12 that I started last year that are still in progress. So that's 13 in total that are essentially continuation from previously. I also have 2 that I started last time that I almost immediately decided I didn't like the fabric. So those are getting restarted. So they will still be in the same slot, but it's kind of a start and kind of a continuation of the WIP. But I'll show you them as new starts. So that's 14, 12, 15 even, count, 15. So the remaining 9 are finished. Now I am only letting myself have the new start if they are also fully finished. If they're not fully finished, then I will work on fully finishing them in the relevant time slot. But I think I'm down to only having 2 left to fully finish, and both of them are just going 3. One's going to the framer and 2 are just going in hoops, and I have the hoops, so like I basically just need to sit down for an hour and do those. So 9 fully finishes means 9 new starts being planned. So I'm going to run through the 12 starts of the 12, I don't know what to call it, the 12 projects of Christmas, let's call it. So swap which app I'm looking at. Got notes in too many different places. It's now going to take forever to load. There we go. Okay. So last year we had, I'm going to show you the finishes from last time. No, I'm not. I'm going to tell you the WIPs. Then I'm going to show you the finishes. And then I'm going to show you the new starts that are going in the place of the finishes. So I'm not going to actually show you the WIPs. I'm going to insert photos and overlays and stuff because I cannot deal with having like 40 projects out at once between last year's 24 plus new starts plus restarts. So very briefly, the 6 of the 12 starts of Christmas have 6 that are still WIPs. So the first one is Nouveau, which if you've been here for more than 1 or 2 episodes you'll probably be familiar with. This is my biggest WIP, and I'm actually really chuffed with how much progress I've made on this. I can't remember off the top of my head, but I'm somewhere between 20 and 25%. I think like 23 maybe, which I'm really happy with in terms of progress. So that's one. The next one is There Is Room. This is, I believe, from the Proper Stitcher. I totally should have that written down somewhere. I'm about 1/3 of the way through this, and if I'm being really honest, I could just get this out and finish it. It's not that many stitches, but being realistic, it's probably not going to happen in the next month. and be fully finished. But I am looking forward to getting that back out for a day or two and getting a little bit more work in it. Third, we have the one that I was talking about swapping in. So this is Lorna Laine's B, which is a GeckoRouge, and this is being subbed in place of the beaded candy canes that I started last year. Because ultimately it was still a December start, it was just from the previous year, from 2023. Next up we have Quaker Snowflakes, which is my fully beaded Christmas piece. I basically haven't touched this since last year, and I don't know if that's... I'm not much of a seasonal stitcher, I don't gravitate towards seasonal projects as a concept, but stitching on snowflakes at any other time of year feels a bit weird. So I might try and get this out before Christmas, or before December, and then get some more work on it during December. Fifth, we have Flosstube Friends. I am slightly tempted to restart this one because I've done it on 22 count hardanger, and having done most of another project on hardanger, I've just come to the conclusion it's not my favourite fabric, and I kind of really want to love working on this one. I don't want it to be one that feels a slog, so that might be one that I swap the fabric out on and have that as another restart. I do also, maybe I need to put this on like a to-do list for November. I have all along intended to digitise this for myself, but also so that I can make some pattern changes to sort of tweak some of the women in the design to make them a little bit more like some of my friends. So that is note to self, or note to editing Jess more accurately, to grab this pattern and put it by my computer and make sure I actually follow through with that one so that I'm ready for December. And then lastly of the WIPs is my light sampler, which I think I did show on my last update. I haven't got very far on this, I've maybe picked it up twice during the year. But it's an Owl Forest embroidery and it's got the gorgeous variegated threads, so I'm again really looking forward to the prompt to pick this up and work on it again. So that's my 6 WIPs. In terms of finishes, I have them here. So the first one-handed because Alfie has claimed my other hand. So this is I think it's just called Frog from Hoops and Crosses. And it says, in case you can't read, I have no idea what the hap is fucking. And this one, I literally have... Oh no, I've knocked it off. I did have the hoop for this hanging on my Lowry, but in the process of putting my tablet back on there, I've knocked it off. So this is literally ready to go. I just need to chuck it in the hoop. I did iron it. It probably needs another iron. I've folded it since then. Just need to chuck it in the hoop. I'm finishing. So that is one finish. The next is my Books on Magic piece. Again, this has been ironed and then folded, so it needs ironing again. This is Counting Puddles, and this one is going to get framed. So another piece that I'll get to in a minute is currently at the framer. I'm going to pick that up towards the end of November, and I'm going to drop this off at the same time. I know it's kind of cheating. I won't have it fully finished and in my hands, but there's nothing more I can do to it. So once this is with the framer, I am going to consider it fully finished. It's out of my hands, so this is going to count for a start. Part of why I'm going to get this one professionally done, it's not as bright as it looks, but I've had to put the ring light on because it's a bit dingy outside today. I'm fairly confident with framing stuff myself if it's a standard size, and this pretty much is. What I don't trust is I've never fully finished and framed something that's linen by myself before, and I think this deserves the 5-star treatment because I love it. So that one is going off to Lisa at Atelier Frames next month. Next up, I can't actually remember which of these I did for Rachel's birthday, which ironically is today actually, so happy birthday Rachel. This isn't going to come out today, but happy belated birthday. I think this one I did for her birthday for the Hair of the Dog Sow, and then this one was my December. So it's a teeny tiny primitive hair project, and then the snowflakes down the middle. Oh, where is the camera? Is it going to focus? No. But those are beads down the middle. So that was, I think I started and finished that during December and then fully finished it since. And then the last one, Oh, which is attached to my jumper. That's not good. Ooh. Ooh. So the last one that I started last year and have finished is this. So I don't know who used my fabric scissors, but I will find you. This is a Lucy Beam, and I really enjoyed this one. This one lives up on my Meta cross stitch wall. I'm gonna have to go let the doggo out. Give me 1 second and I will be back to talk to you about new starts. Okay, so that was my that was the 4 finishes or fully finishes that I've had from this set, I guess, which brings me on to the new starts. Alfie, you're gonna have to scooch over for this one. Scooch in the middle. That's still not the middle. Come on. Good boy. Good boy. So the first one is this. I'm going to be stitching this. Well, the plan was to stitch this again and gift to my hairstylist, Gavin. He has just moved to his own studio, so I thought this would be fun. And at one of his old studios, they got broken into and his scissors, among other things, got stolen. So I thought this was kind of both, like, I'll take out the word fabric and sort of squish those words together. But this felt quite to the point, and it's also kind of his humour style. So that was the plan, because I had an appointment like a week into December. I've had to move that appointment to the end of November. So I might actually tweak my plans and do this in advance and put a different new start in here. But for now, I mean, I can always just, he's only like 5 minutes up the road, so I can always just finish it later and pop it over to him between my appointment and Christmas. So that is one. Second up, we have one of the restarts. In fact, to be fair, I feel like most of these are going to be restarts. So the original was the T-Rex and Astronaut, and I've actually already salvaged the rest of this fabric, so you've kind of just got his floating head there. I basically decided that the plain black was a bit harsh for this project. I wanted something a bit more fun as the background. So I am going to be popping it on this, because I mean, you can't say that's not more fun than plain black. So this is just plain cotton. Some of you might recognise this. I've done a few project bags in this. Nope, nothing I have handy has it on, but I've done a few project bags on this. This is plain cotton, so I will be doing this using waste canvas, 18 count waste canvas. I believe this is 18 count black aida, so it'll be about the same size. So I'm going to use, like, this is the width, and then it's quite a long piece, so I will probably only need some of this. Isn't it so pretty? The gold sparkles. So I'm really excited for this one. The one thing I do need to get, because for all of these I think I'm now set with threads, the one thing I need to get for this one, my local needlecraft shop is Betty Stitch Kit over in Quarry Bank, and she does reaching. So if I'm stitching on a scroll frame, I mostly use these Siesta No Sew setups. So they have scroll bars with these sort of wing nut bolt things on the end, and you have sidebars that you slot these into, so you can kind of have any combination of bar length and sidebar length that you want. The last time I was in the shop, she had almost like mini ones, so they were the exact same concept, but like the bars were like had a smaller diameter and the sidebars were just not smaller as in length, but they were like less thick. So it seemed perfect for small projects. And I did message her the other day and check what she had in stock. So I am going to be popping over there to pick up some of those smaller ones for when I'm doing a smaller piece like this. Just especially with the waste canvas, I think I'm going to need it. I might try putting these in a Q-snap with waste canvas, but I think that, I don't know, I've not tried that, so that might be something I try as well. But I need something to hold the waste canvas and the cotton fabric together. and that's in my gorgeous Dino fabric bag, which I got the fabric from Turquoise Textiles, and it glows in the dark. I bought this fabric from her specifically for this project to live in. I'm totally going to say that that's going to make the difference this year, that I actually work on it. Maybe. Next up we have the other restart. So this is one that I gave a chance. I tried to start this last year as part of the 12 starts, and I just wasn't feeling it. I think I liked the idea of it being tone on tone. You can maybe see there's like 10-15 stitches in there, but when I was actually stitching it, I just didn't like the colours together. So this is Autistic AF by Bees on Toast. For anyone who is new, I am autistic. It's something that I'm quite open about, and I quite like the idea of this project, and I like the idea of supporting another autistic creator. So if you have never heard of Bees on Toast, go check them out on Instagram. I'll link them below as well. And this is another one that I'm going to do on some cotton fabric. So this is a similar style to the one I've just shown you, but it's a sort of creamy white with that same sort of gold sparkle. So again, that'll be done with waste canvas. And this I think might be the smallest of the starts. So it's, I want to say like 1,000, I have that here somewhere. So this one is only 1,159 stitches, so really not that much, and hopefully one that I could do like a start and finish in the 2 days, because it's only, I think, 4 colours as well, so nice and simple. Swap back. Shouldn't have messed with the status quite, really, should I? So we've had I Will Find You. So the next one is a restart. So I think I've talked about this at some point in the last few updates. One of my big GeckoRouge projects, so Love by Aruda Art, I'll pop in the overlay so you can see the picture. This is like a big aurora borealis with a tree and a couple kissing under it. I started this on 25 count. It's my first time trying 10 stitch, and I'm just not loving it. I don't love working on even weave. I'm not loving the coverage of the 10 stitch. I don't really like working in 2 strands anymore. I've just decided to throw the towel in and restart this one on 20 count 1/1 full cross, which is my go-to at the moment. I've got the Aida for that. I already had it in stash, and I'm pretty sure that this kit was bought for 2/1 full cross on 25 count. So even though 20 count is bigger, the fact I'm only doing 1 strand, and also they give you loads of like spare thread anyway, I'm confident that that won't be a problem. So I'm looking forward to restarting that and feeling like I can actually like look forward to picking it up, whereas before I think I was putting off working on it because I just didn't enjoy the 25 count. I don't like the threads slipping between the weave, so just wasn't feeling it. Next up, I don't really have anything on this one to show you. I've got the PDF, so I'll insert a photo. This one I saw on the brag table at Stitch in London this month. I can't believe that was this month. Stitch in London, brag table. So this is the first time I've ever seen a bisque cornu and been like, I need to stitch that. They've just never really appealed to me, but this one was absolutely stunning. And the designer was actually there, so I went and had a chat with her, and she very kindly gifted me the PDF pattern for this, so I'm super excited. It's gonna go on, I'm doing it entirely called for, so I've ordered the threads from Rachel to come hopefully with my next thread club. I have ordered the fabric from 123 Stitch, which is a Picture This Plus Mystic in 36 count, I believe. So that is on its way, and I'm really excited for this, because having seen the model finished piece, it was stunning. So she sent me the link for the the button that she used for the middle, so I'm going to be ordering that as well, because I need the exact recreation of this. So although I don't actually have any of the stuff here now, all of it's on its way. If on the off chance, especially with one of those orders coming from the US with 123 stitch, if that weren't to arrive in time, I would just bump this back and do it as part of the 12 by 12 and pull one of those forwards for the 12 starts of Christmas instead. But yeah, so that's the next one. And then the last one, I don't know which of these it will be. Do you mind? So Stitch Ecology, Rachel and I are currently, very slowly, doing the Magic School stitch along. We've sort of settled on one every 2 months. So this is my October-November one. As you can see, it's in progress, definitely not done. The person looks a little bit weird and demented. It's the first one I've done in white thread, so I'm not completely sold. I think it would help if they had a body and not just an arm. Anyway, that is my current one. But because we're doing one every 2 months, that means December and January will be the next one. So these are fabrics that I've already picked out for different tiles. They're all different counts, different types of fabric. I'm doing them all different sizes and different colours. But other than that one, I'm doing them all in black thread. So I don't know which one yet, but one of those will get started in December. I think Rachel picked the first one. I picked this one. So I think it's Rachel's turn to pick again. So yeah, that will be one of them. I think that's it. So we had, let me recap. We had 6 whips that will carry on. We had 2 restarts. So the Space Dino, or Astronaut and T-Rex, I think it's properly called, and the Autistic AF are restarts. That brings us to 8. And then I've had 4 finishes, which will be replaced with 4 new starts. You're going to fall off. Okay, let's put that over there and hoik this cushion back up so that you don't fall off. How about that? Okay, no. It's like you know that I'm recording and you get your most pestery self out, don't you? What do you think? Can I start the next bit? Okay. It's been quite chaotic. Bear with. So the 12 by 12, again, I'm going to start with whips and then the stuff that's been finished and then the stuff that's going to replace it. So the whips. The first is the Buzz Block Party. I have made some progress on this, but I haven't got hugely far. I think I now have all of the threads, so ready to carry on with that one. I'll include obviously a picture up here and I'll try and include a picture of my progress so far. But yeah, excited to work on that one again. And again, it's on Picture This Plus Mystic, which I think is possibly my favourite fabric colour ever. It's like the colour of my hair, the colour of my living room. It's a good colour. The next one is my Winter Owl. This one I have made quite a lot of progress on. I think I'm about 60% of the way through. And again, if I just knuckle down, I could probably get this finished in the next month, but I am enjoying it so much I don't want to rush. So I'm going to get it out when it feels right and enjoy working on it. Third, we have my Soot Sprite embroidery, which I legit haven't picked up since the 31st of December last year. I'm not really an embroidery person. It requires too much actual creative decision making, whereas cross stitch, I can, even when I'm tweaking a pattern, like for the most part, I'm just doing what the pattern tells me. I don't have to decide where to put things, or if I'm changing colours, I choose the colours once at the start and then I follow my new plan. I think because this is completely freestyle embroidery, my brain's like, too much decision making. We don't want to make decisions, so don't pick it up. But I'm quite looking forward to having the prompt to pick it up and be forced to give it another go. So yeah, that will be interesting to see how much I can get done in another hour, because I think my first hour was literally just sticking a black not quite circle onto a piece of aida. Next we have advice from a sunflower. This is another one that I've not touched since last year. It is quite nice block stitching. I think this would make an ideal travel project if I hadn't done it on black fabric, because I could just mark out the big block of the sunflower, all the petals, it's all one colour, so in like a variegated, so I could just pick it up and go. But it's not my first thing that I reach for. It's not very big either. Again, I could get it done in like 2 weeks if I just worked on that one thing. So I'll pick it up again. We'll see how that goes. Next we have going into a spiral. I have done a little bit more on this, and it is now my grab and go always bring cross stitch project. It's got it's got DMC 310 in there, and I've marked the pattern out with heat erasable pen, so it is just like I don't even need to take my tablet or a pattern with me. So I suspect that one will continue to get some more progress. I'll probably take it to my hair appointment, for example, up until the point where I hit the beads, because I've decided to do a bead conversion for some of the colours on this. Next we have Mandala Giraffe. This was one of the hours last year where I wasn't here for most of it because I was at the supermarket or the pharmacy. So this literally has about 15 stitches in it. But again, I think it would make quite a good travel project. So yeah. We'll give it another shot on New Year's and see how far we get in an actual hour of stitching rather than an interrupted hour of stitching. And then last on the WIP list we have Greenhouse of Oddities. So this and Winter Owl I've like actually made concerted effort on since last year, since I started them. The others have all been basically ignored. So Greenhouse of Oddities, I have no idea what percentage I'm on, but I have made quite a lot of progress, so I'll include like the finished picture, the where I'm up to now, and if I can find it I might include the where I was after that 1 hour, which was pathetic. It wasn't pathetic, it's 1/1 on 32 count, like I'm going to give myself a break on that. I have really enjoyed this. Unfortunately, the last time I worked on it I did realise I'd made a mistake quite early on. So I started at the top with the little twirly bit on top of the roof, and then I did one of the beams coming down, and then I've done a bunch of greenhouse off the back of that. I missed a stitch in that beam coming down, so I'm going to need to fudge. I'm not undoing it, it's not happening. I'm not unpicking 1/1 on linen. I'm going to need to fudge all of those beams coming down to have one less stitch. I think that's my plan. And I think I need to sit down and do that all in one go so that I don't forget and count off of something that I've fudged and make it worse and have like a cascade of things getting even worse as I go across. So I want to do that. I want to do that before New Year's Eve. I don't want that to be that I put it out on New Year's Eve and go, like I've got to deal with this now. So I will be getting that out at some point in November. Just to deal with that roof, and then I'll get it out on New Year's Eve to put in an hour's worth of work then. So that was 7, I think. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah. So of the 12 started on New Year's Eve, 7 are still in progress and 5 have been finished. So the first of those finishes is Fairy Dust, which is by Nouveau. I have no idea if that's how you correctly pronounce it. The internet was not helpful when I tried to check. And it doesn't show up brilliantly. You can kind of see blowing off her hands there is Whisper thread, and so is the bottom of her dress. I really love this really soft style. So a lot of her wings is half stitch. I really like that sort of soft blended effect of half stitch and cross stitch put together. I did come across, I saw someone share on Instagram the other day something in a similar style, so I do now have another designer that uses that approach that I might go down a rabbit hole. But yeah, I really, really enjoyed that one. Next up is, and I think I said, this one's going in a hoop. So again, I just need to put it in the hoop. Shouldn't take too long, no drama. Next up we have this one. So this, I refer to it as my introvertal turtle. I finished it as a flat fold, and it just says, please come back later, I'm introverting. I made this to take to retreats, mostly just to put a bit of gentle humour into the moments where I kind of need to tell people to leave me alone. Because I get overstimulated and I cannot deal with people all day, every day for 3 days without needing some time out. Like, I know I can go back to my room for that, but sometimes I want the vibe of being in the room without the direct having to interact with the room. That one lives in my finishes bag because I take that to retreats for any finishes on the finish table. Next up we have the Slightly Dusty. This one lives on my Meta cross stitch wall. This is Seize the Needle from Silver Creek Samplers. If you are a fan of this, I'm actually giving away the pattern at the moment, so if you go have a look at my previous video, you'll be able to see what you need to do to enter that. I've actually stitched this again since this first one, so I'm making a little pouch out of it as well, a little travel pouch. But this one is framed and lives on my wall next to my stitchy spot. Fourth, we have Aurora Borealis. You're in a really awkward, can you? Middle, please, middle, good boy. So this one is Aurora Borealis from Mill Hill. I am kind of obsessed with this frame. This is another one from Atelier Frames that was pre-made. I am very aware that this is not currently scented, and I have requested the world's tiniest mount, so that I will also be picking up next month from Lisa, and that will let me centre it a little bit better without having random empty space. I'm excited for that to be done. It's like 99% there. And this frame, it's actually not exactly the same. This is the same style of frame, but not exactly the same shade that I have for my giant beaded ink circles project, which is up in the living room. So I specifically picked this up from her pre-made frames box or display, so that they could both go in the living room. I thought they were the exact same, but I think I actually quite like that they're ever so slightly different. They play off each other without being too matchy. But yeah, so Aurora Borealis, and I have, again, Rachel Talking Dog Stitchery. I have her to thank for the fact this actually got finished, because the magnetic frames that she now sells for Mill Hills are just the best, the actual best. I'm sure you've, like, if you watch UK Flosstubers, you will have seen quite a few people have bought them over the past month or two, and they have been getting rave reviews left, right and centre, so definitely go check those out. From Rachel, if she has them in stock. While she has them in stock, they seem to keep disappearing. The last one in this set, so that was 4. The 5th one is currently with the framer, so that's Cabin in the Woods. I'll insert a picture here. This is on my own hand-dyed fabric that I am obsessed with, and lots of people have asked me, am I planning to start dyeing more, like buy some, all that kind of thing. My mother-in-law Sarah, I know she sometimes watches, so if you're watching, Sarah, hi. There's a rolling joke that she will play a board game once and she'll win and then she'll retire undefeated. I think that's how I'm currently feeling about cross-stitch fabric and hand dyeing. I don't think I'm ever going to be able to do something that I love as much as I did this piece. So I'm going to quit while I'm ahead for now. I'm sure at some point in the future I will dabble again, but it is not something I'm planning to do on the regular. but that is currently the frame is. It's actually been done. I just need to go and pick it up, which I'm planning to do on my way to Harrogate next month. So that is all the finishes. I am 50 minutes in, so I'm going to try and keep the pace up. I'm going to have to pause to move piles around because there wasn't enough space for any more next to me, so I will be right back. So, new starts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Cool. So, the first of the new starts. This one is... These are not in the order that I've got them written, so bear with. So this is going to be Books and Plants by Puntini Puntini. Having done Books and Magic last year, I really like the idea of having a book project each year. And I really enjoyed on Books and Magic, each book I stitched was a book series that I had read. So whenever I finished a series, I added a book to the project. So this is going to be similar. That is quite see-through with the light behind it. So this is... Fox and Rabbit Beetroot 36 count, and I'll put the picture of the design up here. My plan is to start on the bookcase outline and the plants. Every time I read a book, I'm going to add a book, but in the colour scheme of the book that I've read. So my book colours won't match what's on this design. They'll be the books that I've read in 2026. And probably beyond if I'm being realistic, because I don't read as many books in a year as this design has in it. Yeah, so that's that one. It's quite a small piece. I quite like I enjoyed stitching the big book on Books of Magic after a series, but I think after each book, these are like 20 or 30 stitches, so they're like nice and manageable, like a temperature style kind of thing, but only when I've finished a book. That is one, and I made this project bag specifically. Like I got the fabric is from Turtle Bay Textiles from Sophie. I specifically picked the fabric for this project. Next up, feels like a bit of a tradition. Last year I started Greenhouse of Oddities with Jo and Emma, and this year I am starting Stitch Together by Tiny Modernist with them. This may look like I've already started it, but I have not started it. It is not a whip because I am not working on it. I have never worked on it. This is some stitching from from Emma from Emma X Stitching and Kelly from Animal Instincts. And they have both started it as well, as has Jo from Belushi Stitches. So the intent was everyone stitches a little bit on each other's. I am planning to start working on this in December, and then the next time I see Jo, I will take it along for her to add a few stitches because I missed the opportunity to get her to put some in at Floss Friends. This fabric is from Stitch Bunny. I keep meaning to trim these corners. Let's quickly do that now. Yeah, fabric from Stitch Bunny. It's this gorgeous sort of peach, and I can never decide whether I think it's bluey or purpley or grey, but it's sort of a peach, and I'm going to go blue. Today it looks blue, but normally I don't know, sometimes it looks purpley. Sort of peach and blue marble vibe. I really love it. I'm really, really glad that I went back and got that at the retreat. So that's start number 2. Start number 3 is actually a restart. So this is going to be Gaming from Charlie Darling, charted by GeckoRouge. I started this on 18 count 2/1. I don't like the background, the sort of fade out background. I don't like how it's coming out for me. I don't actually love the colour palette, the stitching colour palette. It's meant to be like a grey gradient, but there's a couple in there that are like, they just don't seem like they fit. So I'm changing the grey scale, the 14 colours. I've tweaked those a little bit. I've literally done that today. And I've got this purple, this one's Fibre on a Whim, 20 count in plum. I'm going to do this one for my little brother, who is a gamer, and so I asked him what colour he might like it on. He said purple. So I'm restarting this one. I am not stitching any of the background this time. I am just doing the game controller, the knife and the moon, and like the drippy bits coming off it, like the cobwebby bits. I'm not doing any of the like fade out background because, to be blunt, I can't be bothered. And I'm also doing it on 20 count, so it'll be 1/1 again, as it's my normal at this point, so that I'm not dealing with 2 strands on 18 count because it just was a bit bulky. Really excited for this one. I am very confused. I had to ask John to help me with picking my 14 colour grayscale combo of colours. Somehow we've ended up with browns in there, but actually it looks really good and I'm really confused by this. I think basically there's about 10 or maybe 11 greys or like bluey greys that I found looked really good together. I was really struggling to add the last like 3 colours in. The last 3 are more like brown greys, and John did some like absolute magic where he basically grouped those brown greys together and swapped out the dark blue, the 939, that's the darkest colour, for I think I offered him 3371, the darkest grey that I had. Somehow it just worked, having the sort of brown greys grouped together at the top instead of having them mixed in. So they're not in like 3799 is like 4 colours down rather than the like second darkest. I'll include a picture to see if it helps explain it, but I put it on the fabric and it looked good. I'm going to maybe do like a little test swatch on the corner and stitch like a little block of each of the 14 colours just to check that they work together on the fabric. But yeah, I like, it just works. So that's what we're going with. So that's, I guess, again, editing Jess, put that on the to-do list to actually stitch those test swatches so that I don't get to, I don't know, like 9 PM on the 31st and go, can't deal with this, wasn't happy with the colours. I've already talked about that one. This is Love. I'm not going to get it out, but that's the Love restart. What have I missed? I feel like I'm missing something. Books and plants. Yes, so the next one, penultimate start. This is Believe by Karen Hallian. You may be familiar with her like format. She does like profile drawings of characters with like a word that represents them. So she's done like Disney princesses. The one that I have, John bought for me, and it is from Ted Lasso, and it is Ted Lasso. So it has the word believe and Ted in profile, and then the Richmond colours. So I think I'm going to do this on the same fabric as my Winter Owl, so I don't have it here. I probably just need to cut that piece of fabric actually, because it's quite a big piece and the owl isn't huge. But it's going to go on there. Whether it's still attached to Winter Owl when I do that is TBC. I think what I might do as well is it's got like a dark blue frame and then him in the middle and like a couple of lines of red and yellow because it's the Richmond colours and the word believe, and then the middle background is like a slightly lighter blue, and I'm tempted to just completely leave that out and leave the blue of the fabric to show through. But I think I need to, I'll probably stitch the rest of it first and then decide whether to fill that in or not. For anyone who has no idea what I'm talking about, Ted Lasso is a TV show on Apple TV. It's set in a football club. It's not about football. I really, really, really recommend this. It's such a good show. Whenever we have people come and stay and we're like, we get to the evening, it's like, should we just chuck some TV on? This is always what we introduce people to if they've not watched it before. And every time they will then go home after the weekend and John and I will be like, kind of want to just carry on watching. We've probably watched it 4 or 5 times all the way through, just because we've started watching it again with other people and get sucked in. It's so good. So if you haven't, you can get a free trial on Apple TV. Go give it like 1 or 2 episodes, and while you're there, go watch Silo as well, because that is also excellent. Anyway, tangent. Yeah, because we both love the show, John got me this cross stitch, so I really want to start it. And then lastly, for the new starts, gonna pause and caveat that Lizzie, if you are watching, go away now. I'll put a, I don't know, like skip a bit ahead or something. Skip to the, because immediately after this I'm going to start talking about 2026, so skip ahead to 2026, the chapter. For anyone else, Lizzie and I are doing a stitch along together, but we have decided it's basically we're doing a stitch along based on the colour scheme, and we're each picking our own pattern secretly, and then when we're done we will then compare. Which is why Lizzie's had to go. The colour scheme that we have picked is essentially what happened. Lizzie was looking at some threads at Floss Friends and I went and helped, and she said something to the effect of, I'm looking for like quite a, I can't think what the word she used was, quite like an elegant colour scheme, words to that effect. And then she joked that what she really wanted to pick up was the neon green. And I also joked that I too am attracted to the neon green, so I might not be the best person to help her pick up quite an elegant looking colour scheme. And this escalated to both of us going and buying all of the neon colours. She bought some and it made me want to buy them, so I went and looked. I literally went through every thread Rachel owned. Shout out to Lauren from Stitching with the Littley, with my Little Even. She and Kayla came over to look at some threads at the same time, and she is so decisive. I absolutely love it. But as I was going through, I was picking, like, maybe I picked a different orange, and then when I found what I thought might be a better orange and I couldn't decide which was more like highlighter-esque, I was holding up the two, and Lauren was so decisive. So these are the ones that I was able to get. Lizzie did get the last ultraviolet, so I do have a stock alert with Rachel, so as soon as that comes back in I will be adding a purple. In the meantime, I've been using this as like a placeholder just so I can kind of visualise. And then we couldn't find a highlighter blue, so we're using DMC 995 because I think that is pretty neon unto itself. So the reason I have 2 fabrics here, I can't decide which fabric to use. So I have some Wentworth Sage from Swan Bay Fabrics, yeah, in 20 count, or I have some black Aida. So this is actually what I've rescued from the dinosaur that I showed a minute ago. So please share your opinions. I can't decide which colour combo. It does help if I tell you what I'm stitching. So I have decided to do floral etchings. I have digitized this and I have done it in the neon colours. So I will include, I'll include what it looks like, and then I'll also include it because I've digitized it, I've been able to put it in Saga, and Saga lets you change the background colour so that you can kind of see what it would look like on different fabrics. So I'll include the basic like white background version, and then I'll include it on black, and I'll include it on the closest I can get to Wentworth Sage by using like a colour picker. Please let me know what you think, because I am super undecided on this. I think on the black it will look really poppy, but I think on the, I kind of almost enjoy the irony on having it on quite like a mature kind of colour scheme, but then having the neons. It's quite a small project, so it wouldn't, like, I think is it a fat quarter? This is 19 by 21, which I don't think is a fat quarter, but it is quite a sizable piece. Ooh. So I still have loads of this left over for something else. But yeah, I have no idea which which to go with. I've put that down really awkwardly. I think I like both options. I think this on its own would be really nice. I think, let me know what you think. I feel like I'm just saying the same thing over and over again. I'm excited to know what people think. I'm really excited to stitch on it. And I think Emma from Iraq Stitching has messaged me to say that she may have also had some neon threads fall into her basket, so we might have a third person joining us. If anyone else wants to join us as well, we don't have a hashtag or anything, or Lizzie might have come up with one. I'm not aware that we have a hashtag as of yet. But I'll include in the description which threads we've gone for. I think we've not got exactly the same. I think she's gone for a different pink. But I'll include below the ones that I've gone for. If you want to join us, please do. I would say let us know what you're stitching, but maybe don't. Let us know that you're joining, but not what. And we'll go from there. Happy days, Secret Sal. So that is all of the December chaos, I think. Let me go back to my notes because there's bound to be something I've forgotten. Yeah, so that's all the starts. So 9 new starts, 2 restarts, and a bunch of whips. 13 whips, I think. It's going to be chaotic again, but I love it. And it's made me, like, we're at the end of October and I'm already really excited for December. I'm looking forward to it. I'm enjoying, like, getting things ready, like, digitising the charts, picking my fabrics, picking project bags, all of that. I love it. And I normally don't enjoy that getting ready part of starting because I feel like under pressure to make the decision. So I think actually doing it all in December and knowing that that's coming gives me plenty of time to be able to, like, plan it out, have doubts about my fabric, but by the time I get there I'll be fairly decisive and set. So yeah, looking forward to all of that. The last thing for December then, last year I did a finish parade between Christmas and New Year, and then I think it was the 1st of January I did a whip parade and did, like, yearly stats and things. I think what I've decided to do this year is just the finish parade and stats, so they'll be together in one video. I really I like reflecting at the end of the year and looking back at all the finishes and FFOs. I appreciate I've just shown you some of them. There's a bunch of others that I'd finished in previous years that I've maybe FFO'd, or things that I've started and finished during the year, that kind of thing. So I will still be doing that, and then doing all the things like how many stitches I've done in the whole year, how many things I started, how many things I finished, how many whips that leaves me with, that kind of thing. I don't normally talk stats because honestly, hearing other people say numbers at me, my brain can't, like, I need to be able to see them to be able to take them in. So when people say, like, oh, this project has like 122,000 stitches and I've done this many and that means I'm on this percent, it just, my brain can't cope. So I do it once a year. So yeah, that will be coming. Which brings me on to 2026 plans. So 2026, there are 2 sort of main categories of plans for this. The first one is themed months. So again, if you've been around for most of this year, this won't be new. For anyone who wasn't here over the past year, I have done a couple of, like, themed months. I don't know how else to refer to them. So in March 2025, I did March Madness for the first time. For anyone who's not come across this, it's like a bracket tournament. So you pick 8 or 16, or in my case 32 because I'm insane, projects, and you basically have them face off against each other in a vote in Instagram stories. Some people do them in other ways, but that's how I did it. So every single day in March there was a vote, and whichever one wins moves on to the next round and gets paired up with another winner, and they get faced off against each other and it moves on to the next round, and so on. And eventually you get down to 1 whip. I then worked on that whip, not monogamously, but like I put some decent effort into it during April. A lot of other people will do this with just 8 whips, and they will get to a winner halfway through the month rather than at the very, very end like I did. literally on the 31st of March. And then for them, the goal is to finish the project in the second half of March so that they have a finish or a fully finish to sort of celebrate at the end of the month. This year I'm doing like a meet in the middle. So I am doing half as many projects, so 16 rather than 32. And I'm going to do the 16 projects that I haven't stitched on for the longest time. So not my oldest, not like based on their start date, but based on when I last touched them. The goal of this is basically to encourage me to get out WIPs that have been a bit neglected and give them a bit more love. And I think I will. So with 16, I should still be able to finish the voting like partway through the month. I will then, whatever is finished, I will try and work on it fairly concertedly for the rest of the month and maybe a bit into April to give it some actual attention. And who knows, maybe get a finish. I'm not going to commit to that because I know that some of my least worked on projects are pretty massive. So I'm not going to commit to finishing anything. I'm not going to commit to making a certain amount of progress, but I will put some real effort in. That's all I'm going to say. I am really excited to see what everyone votes for. It was like, absolutely loved it last year. I'd had people messaging me being like, I keep having to go back to relook at your story to see how the results are going, to like hope that mine's winning, the one that they'd voted for. So yeah, I really enjoyed that and I'm really looking forward to it. I do have almost a whole week of travel planned in March, even words, for my birthday. So I don't know, I might try to make sure all the voting's done before that. I might take a couple of projects with me, but we'll see. It might not be everyday voting like it was last time. It might be just a little bit more sporadic. But we'll see. The next themed month that I definitely want to do is Monogamous May. So this year I did a full month of working exclusively on Game of Nouveau. I intended to get the stats. I'm not going to try and find the stats because my tablet might die. But I will do the same again this year, next year, the coming year. There we go. I did really enjoy getting some really concerted progress. I think it was like 10 or 12% that I got in. No, that doesn't sound right. I've got no idea. Absolutely none. No idea how much it was. I don't know. But we'll do another month and we'll see how we get on. My sort of long-term aim for that is to finish it within 5 to 10 years. So I essentially need to do somewhere between 10 and 20% each year. This year I've done, I think, 23, so I've kind of smashed through both of those goals. So it'll be nice having another chunk of concerted effort on it, on top of the fact it'll come out in December. And then lastly, December. So I know that I'm only now talking to you about this December's plans, but like, I'd be shocked if I'm not here doing the same thing this time next year. So those are the three like definite, locked in. I love doing them. It would take something big to stop me doing them. But also I'm a sucker for alliteration, so I strongly suspect that I will get sucked into some other monthly things. I'll be real, these are usually prompted by Emma and Joe, so they do sales throughout the year, but I think the two that particularly appealed this year is Salathon in January, which is getting out all of your sort of the sales that you're behind on and giving them some love, and then Alpharust October, because I have one Alpharust that I'm working on. I have two more that I have the thread packs for, maybe three more. Might have gone for three. But I don't really want to have multiples on the go, so I do really need to put some love into the one that I'm already working on in order to be able to get any of the others out. So that's it for themed months. So 3 definites, and then, to be honest, most of the other months. If you can give me an alliterative like Sampler September, I don't do samplers. Sal September, I'm all over it. Owl Forest October, I'm in. Come at me. Abandoned Sal August was one that I joined in this year with Kenny Stitches. I am here for anything alliterative. So come at me with your ideas. Let's not fill the whole calendar, because I would struggle doing something like that every month, but give me your ideas, because I will totally steal and jump in on some of them. So the last thing, it's going to be a long one, but the last thing is WIPgo. I've never even started doing WIPgo before. I've started making myself a WIPgo board a couple of times, and I got halfway through and was like, I already hate myself for telling me what to do. Sounds really weird. Stitching for me is a very vibe space thing. I stitch on what I feel like. If I'm not feeling what I'm working on, I'd rather put it aside and get a different project out and still be able to enjoy stitching than getting into the headspace of, I don't want to work on the thing I should be working on, and therefore I can't work on anything else, because if I'm going to do stitching, it has to be on that. So every time I've started to fill out a WIPgo board, or like I've seen alphabet challenges or prompts, like all of these different like plan your year ahead kind of things, I love the idea of them. As soon as I start planning them, my brain is just like, I don't want to do this. So I don't. What I'm doing for this to try and not do that is, instead of it being different projects, all of my WIPgo board is going to be the same project. And the difference between the squares is going to be, like, instead of it just being a number of stitches, it's going to be a colour. So the project I'm working this on is my oldest WIP, Beyond the Horizon. I started this in 2022. It's my only project left from 2022, and I think other than B, which I've already talked about, it might be my only one from pre-2024. That feels wrong. That can't be right. But anyway, it's my oldest project by a fair way. I've mostly stitched this extreme cross country, which is my go-to style. But having finished all of the 939, which is, that was like a third of the whole project, was just that one colour. And I did it really intensely in late 2023. And I've basically not picked it up much since, in the 18 months. Because it's just, whenever I pick it up and pick a colour, my brain just sees it as confetti and I just can't be bothered, to be blunt. But I really like the artwork and I do really want it done. So each WIPgo square will have 2 colour numbers on it. The way I've done this is started with the colour with the fewest stitches, and I have to shout out Patternkeeper for allowing me to do this. Obviously, if I was doing this from a paper pattern, there is zero chance I'd be able to do this. So the colour with the fewest stitches left goes in square 1, and I have pre-prepared my WIPgo board, so I will include it here so you can hopefully see what I mean. So square number 1 will have the fewest number of stitches, square number 2 will be the next fewest, and so on all the way up to 24. I'm then going to do, if you're a gamer, you'll be familiar potentially with the term snake drafting, board gamer, not video gamer. I'm then going to basically go back the other way with the next 24. So the first square will have like the fewest stitches and the 48th fewest stitches. And it basically means that each square, if I add up the quantity of stitches between the 2 colours, is like roughly, there's some give and take, they're kind of between 600 and 650. So when 2 numbers are called in a month, my goal is to stitch and colour complete at least one of the colours from each of those called squares. If I'm still, like, if I'm having a rough month, a really busy month, I'm really not feeling it, if I get towards like the last week of the month and I've just not got around to picking it up, I can get it out and just put the fewest, like the smaller of the 2 numbers, get it done, tick the box off, job done. I've still colour completed 2 whole colours, which is, when they're like small numbers of stitches, it's potentially going to be kind of confetti, but like, the smallest one of these only has 75 stitches. That's like, I could do most of these in one sitting. So yeah, cross off the smaller, job done. If I feel like I've got a bit more capacity, maybe it's earlier in the month and I'm feeling picking this up, I can maybe do the colour with more stitches and cross off something a bit bigger. If I finish that and I'm still feeling it, maybe I'll go do the other colour. If I'm still feeling it, there are a bunch of other colours that are not going on the WIPgo board that have more stitches. So there are ways for me to carry on working on it, but I want the bar to be quite low of colour complete a colour. It basically means that by the end of the year, I should have at least 24 colours fully completed. It might not be tons of stitches, but it narrows down how many colours left I have to deal with. And it means that the colours that are left for me to do ad hoc, or maybe on a WIPgo board the following year, are like chunkier and therefore feel less confetti heavy, and are hopefully a little bit easier for my brain to just pick up and do because I feel like it, without picking it up, looking at how scattered the colours are on Pankeeper and going, oh, I don't really want to do this. That's the logic. Whether it pans out that way, we shall see. It might be that I get to January and I hate it, but we're going to give it a go. Yeah, I'm very much trying to use the concept of WIPgo and the fact it's meant to help you get progress on projects, but make it work for my brain. And I think this is a way to make it manageable little goals that only require me to sit down for 1 or maybe 2 evenings, and I can just be like, it's done. And if I'm really feeling it, if I'm really into it, I've got almost like stretch goals. And then if I'm still feeling it, I can just keep going. So we'll see. I will, when I get to my finished parade at the end of December and I do that stats bit, I will probably include stats on this specific project just so that I can look back a year later and see how much progress I made. Yeah, in terms of colours completed, total stitches, percentage, that kind of thing. It's, again, I don't do stats very often, but it's probably the one time that it's worth me doing stats so that I can reflect and be like, that was actually really successful. So the last thing that I very briefly wanted to mention for 2026 is my Flosstube plans. So I've talked about this before, but going forwards, I plan to do my WIP parades in February and August each year. So February, because it ties in nicely with being prepared then for March Madness, for showing you what I'm going to work on. If I'm showing you 16 projects for that, I kind of might as well do the whole lot. So I'm not going to do like a year-end WIP parade, I'm going to do it in February instead. And then in August, because it's my Flosstube anniversary. And I quite like doing those out of the normal WIP parade cycle because I think it can be a bit overwhelming when everyone is doing them at the same time. So that is what works for me. It's what we're going to roll with. In terms of content, like other updates, I'm still planning to be very free reign with it. I will come and do an update when I feel like I've got stuff to show you. Sometimes that's every 2 weeks, sometimes it's every month. We'll see how it goes. I am also planning, so I've not really talked about it on this because it's not December in 2026, but in a week or so I will have a new start on The Legend of Freya, which is a Bella Filipina. It's my first fancy lady, and again, for anyone who's not been keeping up to date recently, I am planning to stitch her on organza. So I am going to do, I haven't decided on like a name for it yet, but like the Organza Diaries or something like that, just to kind of show you like how I've set things up, like how I'm stitching on it. Like I might do some stitch with me's, show you how I've done beading, how I'm dealing with like metallics, that's the word, and how I'm dealing with like the waste canvas and that kind of thing. So that will be like an ongoing series. And then I guess in between I'm going to carry on just doing random whatever. So yeah, like one thing that I do really want to do is I said on my, I think on my very first video, that I might do like an autism ask me anything. I do really want to go back and actually follow through on that. It's just taken me a while to be in the right headspace where I feel like I can talk about that. But I think in the past sort of 12 to 18 months, I've gradually felt more and more positive about life and autism, and yeah, I think I'm ready to do that. So look out for that at some point as well.
Editing Jess here. So I now have a story on my Instagram highlights, so you can go and submit any questions you have. Essentially, autism themed or neurodiversity themed, ask me pretty much anything.
I am super excited, especially for December, but also just to carrying on this hobby, to carrying on making new friends and coming to retreats and stitchy days and meeting more of you, and just, yeah, sharing my hobby with the world because it makes me happy. In Just So Sherry style, I do have a final thought for you on the topic of plans. So I recently came across on Instagram a reel where someone was talking about making plans, and that sometimes if you've got a perfectionistic sort of tendency, it can be quite easy to go, well, I made a plan and I didn't get everything on it done, so I suck at plans and I'm not going to do them anymore. And this, like, I'm certainly guilty of that, and I know it's something John and I have talked about because he's the same. He doesn't like making plans because he knows he's not going to stick to them, and therefore it feels like a failing before you've even started. So this person reframed it that the point of a plan or a to-do list or a schedule isn't to do everything on the plan or the to-do list or the schedule, but if you can look back at the end of the day and go, I got more done because I made a plan than if I hadn't made a plan, then the plan was worth it. Your goal isn't to tick off everything on your to-do list. The point of the to-do list is to help you organise so that you do maybe the most important things or the most urgent things, rather than getting sidetracked, which, I mean, neurodivergent brain, very prone to being sidetracked, as you're experiencing now as I get sidetracked. But yeah, so for those of you who, yeah, perhaps don't like making plans because it feels like you're setting yourself up to fail, maybe have a think. Does it actually mean that you get more done, or that you get more important things done? And if so, it's worth it. It served a positive purpose. I'm going to leave it there. I'm looking forward to sharing the next year with you on here and on Instagram. Yeah, happy stitching. Bye everyone.